What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. What's up? What's up? Trash Can Waves is in the house. What's up, Operator Glenn? Hey, hey. Hey, Shernon. It was fun hanging out with you in the chat earlier this morning. So, I'm gonna start doing more of these of just of lives around certain topics because um I engaged in a conversation yesterday on my Instagram, which you can watch the playback on my channel. Um, and it was just like I really got on there to just talk to people while I was working and doing stuff. And then out of nowhere, the conversation came up about dating and all this stuff, right? And I went to college with a lot of like dope people, very brilliant people. And the person that I have joining me today, I went to college with, and when I talk about like growth, just in terms of like, learning one thing growing up, unlearning it, and then applying it, I think she is the best example of that. And she doesn't keep like what she learns to herself, or like what she basically yeah, like comes to know to herself. She shares it, and then she poses the question to challenge everybody, unlike, why do we think this way? Shouldn't we unthink the way we learn certain things? And so I wanted to bring her up, and have a conversation around something that she posted the other day. And so I'm gonna bring her up. Her name is Mariah. So everybody show love to Mariah. What's up, girl?
Hey, hey.
So hey, M Mills. Sherelle's in the building. What's up? Hey, Prince Willingham. So anywho, everybody, this is Mariah over here. And I know y'all probably saw the thumbnail and was like, what, women willingly wanting to be single parents, baby mamas, all of that. But it's the truth in some ways. And I have some examples to share. But before, Mariah, are you okay with me uh, not sharing, but like basically reading your Facebook?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Hmm.
I had it up and now I don't know what I did with it. Um, Window. Okay. Anywho, it basically reads, and let me see if I could do it now. Um, oh, maybe I could do this. Okay. Nope. Hold on. Because I had it all planned. So I'm gonna just read it before
Hmm.
I put it up. But basically, single parent households are a generational curse that have been placed upon us by force in the past. It dug so deep into the subconscious that just a couple generations later, y'all now do it willingly. A little boy that grows up in a household with just his mom is very likely to turn into a man that is not in the household with his children that he created, and so on and so forth. Basically, in summary, control your hormones. And that post, literally 74 comments and counting. It's probably way more now. And like over 15 shares, people were like, well, what about the women and what about the men? And you were just speaking in general, like just
Yeah.
control your hormones. It's simple. So talk to me a little bit about that, and just like how you came to that realization. Like, wait, and if people are looking for examples, look at all of the women who were like volunteering to be Nick Cannon's baby mama. Like that is just like one prime example that this idea of having a family structure is just like, I prefer, money over having a family. I prefer X over having a family. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, okay, so first, I just want to give a disclaimer because I've noticed whenever people have these type of conversations or they want to talk about things that women do, most women immediately jump into like, oh, well, not all women or not me, but it kind of it takes away from the people that are doing that. Like, if that's not you, that's fine. I understand. But there are people that fit into these categories. So we are talking to them, not necessarily all women.
Right.
I just think I want to throw that out there.
If it don't
But
apply, let it fly, basically.
right,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly. So it's just something that I noticed. I feel like before getting too deep into it, like we all know that having sex leads to children.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have unprotected sex, you have even a greater chance of it leading to children. So I don't know if it's necessarily that women are choosing to be single mothers, but they're not being very responsible
Mm-hmm.
in the choices that they make. Really, like if you want to just have fun or have sex or whatever, that's fine. But if you're looking for, okay, let's just say that's what you want to do. Why aren't you requiring the men to use protection?
Right.
Like, because even if you're not trying to have a kid, you know that it could possibly lead to one.
Right. We talk a lot about, I mean, women get talked about a lot in terms of, well, if you knew who this man was before you laid in the bed, you knew.
And then
And
they always do say that. And then they say, well, sometimes you don't know, or sometimes the man changes. When in fact, majority of the time, it's that you didn't actually take the time to get to know this person. Like most women not going to admit this because you have to have a certain level of accountability. But if you actually have conversations with people and get to know them before you have sex with them, you will come to a lot of realizations like, oh, I probably shouldn't be dealing with this person at all. This person would not make a good parent at all. But they kind of putting the cart before the horse when
exactly.
they're dating.
Exactly.
Like,
And
you know,
go ahead.
no, yeah, you go ahead.
I was going to say, like, there's this it's not new, but more people are starting to talk about it, is this idea of like dick discipline for men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I hear that a lot. But it's not getting a lot of, I will say, traction, or people aren't talking about it as much as people are saying women need to do XYZ. This is how women need to dress. This is how women. When your post, and I'm about to show it now because I finally got my life together. Your post basically was only saying control your hormones, and immediately it went from, well, men do this, women do that, blah 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 blah. And it's just like, just in general, if you know the outcome of what happens when you have unprotected sex, or just protected sex, or just sex in general, like we could take the whole if you do, if you don't kind of thing off the table. um and we're not looking at the characteristics of that individual, or we're not looking at it long term. It's not a female and a man's like battle here. Is
Mm-hmm.
accountability for everybody.
Right. Be mature and responsible. And whenever people, they always say, oh, you tell women to do this, but why don't men do it too? Like, women need to accept the fact that some areas men are good at leading, but in other areas women are better at leading. So when it comes down to those situations, like, we are a bit more mature and level-headed, depending on who you ask, in those types of situations. So it's not, you can't really expect a man, I don't know, it's gonna sound bad, but
Let's say
like
it,
if you
girl.
just sitting there, you like, okay, well, he'll probably bring out a condom. Like if he don't want to, and you not saying nothing to him, like, hey, go grab a condom,
Right.
then who's gonna do it?
Right.
So just
Right.
like you were saying yesterday, when you have a certain amount of morals, and you don't, if the other person doesn't have them, it's on you to like step into that role and have it for the both of you.
Exactly. But, and I think, and I did share an example of, you know, when, because people are going to be weak. Let's just make that very clear. We are weak as humans. We have weak spots. We don't make good decisions. It's inevitable. Like, we're
Right.
not going to make the right decision all the time. But in moments where, I have a moral compass, I know that this is not what we should be doing. And baby girl ain't gonna tell you to stop. Why don't you make the decision for her? And vice
Right.
versa for the women. But then we want to be
Mm-hmm.
like, we're both adults. She grown. She did, like, okay, but that's, to me, that mindset is childish. Because as
Yeah.
adults, if you look at it, it's childish in a way. And this is the example I'm going to give. When you have a child, both of you can make decisions, but one knows more. So in turn, you make a decision for your child. It works the same way when you are with an individual, whether or not the age qualifies this person as an adult. You are responsible for what happens with the time that they're with you.
And what's sad is another thing that contributes to it. A lot of people are so immature. Like everything that you just said, you have to be at a certain maturity level to where you're not letting your ego get in the way. If you and the other parent, y'all disagree about something, you got to come to a point where you say, okay, what's in the best interest of our child? Because we both want what's best for the kid. It don't matter if I think my way is better than your way. What can we do to find some type of common ground? But a lot of people, they get so caught up, they like, oh, you don't listen to me, then whatever, you can't do anything. Like, I'm in charge, you gotta do what I tell you to do. And that puts a lot of strife into the relationship. And usually, honestly, it's the woman that's making those types of demands or like plays and stuff. So then the men, they don't really know what to do. They feel like, okay, well, you can just do whatever you want. Instead of compromising, they like, okay, I just won't be around at all. So that's like an immature route to go.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh.
I'm like, why is nothing? So, Dojo Manhood said most men only have their sexual access to women as their source of pride, accomplishment, and success. That's why many guys give that excuse. Can we interview a single mom who plans to become one? If you know of one, let me know. But I think that's the point we're trying to make is you right, no, I don't think anybody plans to be a single mom. Let's be clear.
I don't either, honestly. And when they do, it's because it's like a very strong reason, and not to sound bad, but it's usually out of some type of traumatic experience, or they just have some type, because you want your child to have the best chance possible. Every child needs a mother and a father, or that would not have been the way that we make babies.
Exactly. I put the link to call in on the I pinned it to the top. You gotta have your camera on if you're gonna call in, and be respectful. Just add to the conversation. Thank you, Gaston, for the super chat. Much appreciated. You guys turn your video on if you're able to. Let's see. Sherelle said, any women planning to have kids out of wedlock is planning to be a single mom. I wouldn't say planning, but you're basically on the path to.
There are some women that will say, you know, I just want to have a baby. I don't want to deal with the man. But why? Like, what?
Because
I guess that's a good question.
The only thing I could think of, and I was going to like put all of Nick Cannon's baby mamas on the thumbnail, but out of respect for the child that he just lost, I just didn't want to do that and whatever. But you think about, I think it is not even giving them a pass, but you think about all of these women who have babies by these artists. What is the driving force? It's the money. It's the access.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because, okay, Nick Cannon, that's a whole different, like, realm that he is in. So he has so much money. He has so many resources. It's okay if he's not always, well, I don't know if I'll say okay, but if he's not always in the house, like, he has enough set in place where that kid is taken care of. The mom don't have to really worry about nothing. But as far as us who are at regular everyday people yeah, like, you need as much help as you can get. And it's better for you to have help from the other parent than all these other people or whoever you're trying to go convince to help you that didn't have any part in creating the child.
All right, I see you, Eugene. You can turn your camera off because you're driving. I'll bring you up because I don't want you to, to crash or anything. So I'll bring you up, Eugene. I'm still looking to see if you got a video. What's up, Eugene? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Okay. Uh, yeah, yeah, I can. Yeah, let me turn this up a little bit. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Um, you know, you know, this whole thing about this baby mama thing. I mean, it's been going on forever. I mean, it's so many women, you know, it, wants to get that pleasure and do not understand the risk of sex, whether it's pregnancy or diseases or anything like that. And you know, I can remember back in my days where had
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You're breaking up a little bit, Eugene. You must be in a bad
some
area.
women who said, you know,
Eugene, we
yeah,
can't hear you.
yeah, let
So,
me get back with you
Eugene,
later.
hold on. Okay, yeah, call back in. I want to where what did this? Okay. Simsaya said, "Lauren, there are some women who don't want the pressure or role of being a wife. Being a single parent is a close second to being a wife."
Okay, you
The-
know what? Look. Okay, you go
no,
ahead.
no, you go ahead. Then I'll follow up with what I was gonna say.
Okay, so there's a lot of different categories that come into play when we're talking about parenting. So I'm a single parent. I have a child with someone that I'm not married to, but at this point in time, we have an arrangement where we both are actively involved. Like sometimes she stays with me, sometimes she stays with him. That works for us. That's not an ideal situation, in my opinion. Not even in my child's opinion. She said to me once when she was younger, she wishes that her mom and dad were in the same house.
Mhm.
And that made me feel kind of bad. Like, okay, I know it's nothing, like, this is what she's used to. She doesn't
Mhm.
know anything. Like, when we were kids, we were kind of taught, like, you have a mom and dad that are married and then they have kids. But our
Mhm.
kids, they growing up in a different time. So it's like, they could see families that look any type of way. Sometimes it's just a mom, sometimes it's just a dad, sometimes it's two moms, all different types of things. But her being a kid, all she knows is me and her dad being separately. So she came up with it on her own. It's not something that I taught to her, that is a
Mhm.
mom and dad in the house together. So our kids, they have a certain level of understanding. And I don't think people even think that far. Like when you
Yeah.
have an unprotected sex with somebody, you might come up with a child and you've never even talked to this person about how they feel about kids. Yet you're having unprotected sex with them.
Right. Like that's the end, that is the consequence, that is the end result. Um what I was going to say in regards to this is just this idea of like I don't want to be like I don't want to be a wife, but I want to be a mom. It's selfish thinking, in my opinion, because you're not considering the effects it has on the child. You're only thinking about what you want as a individual and what you think you can handle. If I'm honest, and I'm not a mom, and I'm not a wife either, but I would imagine that being a wife may be easier than being a mom.
It
So
is.
I don't know if I agree with this argument because think about it, right? If you're a wife, you're married to another adult, another person who can make decisions, another person who can take care of themselves essentially, and should be taking care of you if it's
Twice the
structured the
amount.
right. Okay. And if you when you are a mom or you're a parent, that we're going to remove gender out of it, you have to make sure that this person is cared for, make sure they eat, make sure you bathe them, make sure you're teaching them, you're grooming them, you're growing them. Like there's so much more responsibility to being a parent than it is to be a wife. So I don't know if I know that there are women out here that is just like, I don't want to be a wife, I want to be a mom. I don't
There
think that's
are women. There are women that say that, and I'm gonna tell you,
where they at.
they usually grew up in a house where there was not a wife, so they don't even know what a wife does or like what a real wife looks like. They know what they see on TV, what they hear from people, but
That's sad.
that's
See,
it.
I must have
That's
been living
usually
under a rock.
yeah. I was just talking about this the other day. Like for me, I grew up with a single mother. So I was able to see her personal life, and then I had my experience from like TVs and movies. That's where I learned a lot about relationships, from TV and movies. That's a red flag. Okay,
Right,
because
right.
a lot of people, when they do that, they kind of um
They're jaded.
build
It's
these
yeah.
fantasies,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, of how they think. So for me personally, I'm able to use my own common sense, like, and pick and choose, like, what makes sense, what's realistic, what's not. But a lot of people, when they don't have that real life experience, they fill in the gaps with like fictional stuff and fantasy and what they've come up with in their minds.
This is a good point. Courtney Michelle said, "I think Black women don't put effort into being a wife because we think it's going to automatically happen. Either that, or we don't think it's going to be successful. We think it's going to be a waste of our time, right? So it's either one of two extremes. One is that, my husband is just supposed to find me and it's supposed to be easy. I'm not supposed to put in work. Or if it happens, it's not gonna last, because we've never really seen successful marriages if it weren't in your own household growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring up Courtney. Hey, Courtney.
What is going on?
Hi.
Hi, hi, Mariah. How
Hey,
are you?
before you
Good.
start, Courtney, I don't know if you saw my message in the back. Just flash your camera on and then turn it off, just so I can know it's you. I'm not finna just bring people up
Okay,
here.
I
Okay,
got it.
thank you, Sheed. Got it. All right. So you good. All right. I'm gonna bring you up next, Sheed. But Courtney, what do you think about this idea of just everybody needs to control their hormones and be more responsible? It's no longer a gender battle of like women need to do this, men need to do that. I think there's responsibility on both sides.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think now we live where in a society where it's nothing is shamed, everything's okay, and it's common for a woman to have a child out of wedlock. Like it's not looked upon as bad or anything. And I know I remember men saying this, and they still say it, that if you're a woman that's 30 and above without a child, your sex isn't good, something wrong with you, you crazy. So I remember men telling me or telling women that where something wrong with you if you don't have a baby. It wasn't something wrong with you if
Mm-hmm.
you're not necessarily married, but you ain't got no child. Ain't
Right.
nobody shot the glove up. And I remember those things. And so growing up, you want obviously. I don't even know if women are saying, yeah, I want to have the nuclear family where it's a husband and then the baby. It's just pretty much we want what we want at that time, not understanding the future and what it looks like. So being a single parent, it ain't it ain't the easiest. It's a sacrifice. The kid hurts from it. Whether you're a great parent or not, it's still something is going to be missing in that child. And like Mariah said, my daughter said that to me too. Man, I wish mommy and daddy lived in the same house. Because the going back and forth for the 6-year-old is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Having two houses, being confused. Sometimes she'd be like, mommy, daddy, I'm your mama. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was with daddy yesterday. And
Yeah.
those little things, it's hard on a 6-year-old. So you try to make it as easy as it can, but the easiest is having your child within a marriage when mommy and daddy is in the home. Not having daughter, not knowing when she going to mommy, when she going to daddy, it's confusing. Hell, it confuses me. And I'm
So I
21.
Oh my God,
Right.
Courtney. So I have a question. Let me bring Sheed up real quick. Sheed, thanks for holding on. I know you're driving. What do you have to add to the conversation before I pose the question to everybody that I was going to ask?
Well, to a degree, it's kind of funny that some women, just like you said, want to be single moms. I mean, they could easily make it up with the man, and then in most cases, when the man don't want the child, the woman will still have the child, and that man is kind of being forced into being a child's life. You know, considering that both probably agreed didn't want to have kids. But I mean, for a woman, it's different because the emotionals get involved.
when you actually conceive to the point where you change your mind, where you didn't want a child, but to bring life, it's a joy, and to a certain standpoint, a lot of people got to know where they stand. If you don't want kids and you get pregnant, stand on it. Just, I mean, you're gonna be forced to take care of that child on your own, because if a man doesn't want to have a child, it's gonna kind of hard to force him to be a good man. That's why we have so many deadbeats. To a certain degree, a lot of guys they bad by far. They're just not taking care of their kids. But I wouldn't say a lot. I would say a few. But then the majority, if you get forced into being a father, how is that going to reflect on that child, when he didn't want to have a child? I
The
mean, to a
only
degree, I don't.
problem I have with that is how can you
Please.
cannot force
You can't,
anyone into having a child,
what
because
in the world?
if you're so adamant about not having a child, you will do everything in your power to not
prevent
have a
it.
child.
Don't
So
have
you
sex.
wouldn't be having raw sex. You will not be
You
shooting
wouldn't
the
be
club up.
coming inside of her
Yeah.
vagina.
Oh, baby, you on birth
Condoms,
control? Yeah,
condoms, bust,
yeah, I am.
birth control. Women go off of them.
Okay,
Okay,
that's a
well,
personal
protect your
problem.
penis.
Yeah, you control what you're offering to the pregnancy.
Yeah, here's the thing. It takes two.
It
You
does.
have to be accountable. You cannot say, you're forcing me to be a dad. I didn't force you to come inside of me, sir. Even if I tell you I'm on birth control, you maybe you need to trust yourself
Yeah,
and
that's the
wrap
only one
it
you
up.
can trust.
Maybe learn dick discipline. So it takes two to tango. Yes, women will get you caught up. Men get caught. Men will catch women up.
That's true.
We can have that conversation. There's a lot of
Mhm.
women that has gotten pregnant and they sleep.
Right.
It's true. So it takes two. We have to both be accountable. And the
Mhm.
accountability on my part, I can say as a woman, is either practice celibacy as a young age until you get married when you're supposed to, how God intended. Or if you are having sex, make sure the man wraps it up and the woman's on birth control. Protect yours, and I have to protect mine regardless. Because a man is easy can lie to a woman and take that thing off. Let me just put the tip in. Like we ain't never heard that. We gonna be real or not?
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
it's true. It's true. Thanks, she. You got anything else to add?
Um, nah, I'll let you. I mean, from the point, like I say, I mean, I personally with me, I didn't have a child till I got married. I've always worked on them with every woman I dealt with. If to an issue, if she wanted me to take the condom off, I was like, nah, I'm not doing it.
Mm,
You know,
right.
and like I say, accidents do happen, but that's what I was saying. If we're in agreement not to have kids, and we just so happen to you get pregnant, but you didn't want to have a kid, right now the abortion thing, to a degree, a lot of people don't want to do it. And back then, when people were doing, they were reneging on it. Because I mean, being honest, the woman has the choice in the matter of having a child or not. The man has no say so. You
Well,
know,
you're just the only choice that we have if we're going to terminate the pregnancy, which means a lot. It's death. And so we can't keep saying that. And I get so tired of men saying that, well, you have the ultimate decision. I look at it as killing. So the ultimate decision is murder. Now we're going to talk. So is that my ultimate decision? Yeah, it could be.
Mhm.
But let's call it, we prance around what he really trying to say. What you're trying to say is that, yeah, the woman could kill the child.
yeah,
I'm not.
I mean,
I didn't.
Mhm.
but that's the thing. Like I said, when it comes down to it, if you both agree to not have kids and that happens, and then the man say, well, I don't want a child. So literally that's what I'm saying. You're kind of forcing that man into being a father that didn't want to have that position. I mean, take for instance, there's a guy I know, older guy in his 60s. He was dealing with a, mid 30-year-old woman, and all his kids were grown, you know, but he ended up having a child with the lady because she got off birth control, and it was just like a one night thing, and like they, I guess, kind of rekindled or whatever, but it was a one night thing. Got her pregnant, and he was like, well, I told you I didn't want to have no kids. And she was like, well,
Just
I don't have a child. I'm going to keep it.
I want to make it very clear. Just because you say I don't want to have a kid, and you then engage
ain't
in
enough.
the act, and then you engage in the act that then creates a child, that statement you said before is null and void.
It's null and void.
It doesn't matter at this point, because if you didn't want to have kids, and this goes out to everybody, not just you, we talking about this whole thing. If you say you don't want to have kids, I'm not ready for kids, I suggest you stop having sex until you are at the point to where you can have kids. You want to have kids. It's simple.
How and I don't not understanding how babies are made.
Listen, I'm just about to say, I don't even think people realize it is not that difficult to avoid pregnancy. There is only one, for most women, if you have a regular cycle, there is one day a month where your egg is released and it is viable to receive sperm and become fertilized. That's one day, 24 hours to 48 hours. A man's sperm is only viable for up to 5 days. So we just gonna say a week. There is 1 week a month where you can get pregnant. All the other days of the month, you are very unlikely to get pregnant. So that's something only the woman will know. Like when she's ovulating and when she's not. So as far as the man, the only thing you can do is wear a condom.
That's protect yourself. You don't want a child.
If you don't
have
want
sex,
kids,
or wear a condom.
Then you need to be having sex with someone who you know for sure does not want kids, or you need to be wearing a condom. There's no way you can know for sure, really. You can't trust nobody but yourself. So all that leaves you with is a condom. Unless you're gonna get a vasectomy.
I don't know why this concept is hard.
We can only control ourselves. So you say, I don't want a kid, but you're not taking the necessary precautions to not have a kid. You can't put your trust into the other person because you don't know what their motives are.
But
so him having that one night thing.
I'm gonna let you have the last word, because then we got a few people in the back that want to kind of come on and ask her or add to the conversation. So what you got to say in response?
But that's what I just said earlier. For a person that don't want to have kids, that is dealing with a person that don't want to have kids, and then a baby, comes about, that's going to be an issue. I understand that. I mean, to a degree, if a person that don't want to have kids only dealing with a person that doesn't want to have kids, and the child come about, that's the decision that they're going to be going back and forth with.
Hold on, Lauren, can you pull up Julius Jermaine comment?
Yeah.
Who's he talking to?
Julius.
You talking to me? Who he talking to? I'll wait.
I have a child. You talking about me? What's that got to do with anything?
I mean,
when I became pregnant with my child, we were having unprotected sex, and we were one of those. And we were one of those. I don't want no kids, but guess what? We wasn't doing anything to prevent the kids from coming.
Exactly, Julius. That's about the slowest comment. You're a
that's
baby mama.
that's
why they can say what they can say.
Right, you're a baby mama. What's your point? Yeah, I am. And you know why I am? Because we were doing things to make me a baby mama.
We know the mistake we made, and we are here to preach the gospel.
And we out here telling you, if you don't want a baby, wrap it up.
Who's the best to tell y'all rather than the people who've experienced it?
Right.
There's no shame in this, people. There's no shame.
We walk so you could run.
Right.
It's not about being reckless. It's about what leads to pregnancy.
I mean, of course.
All right, it only takes one time. It only takes one time.
Yeah.
So why not wear protection?
That's why when I was young, I never dealt with. Okay.
All
that's
right.
What I said. That's why I never dealt with women.
With women.
So each one teach one. That's all we can do.
Women.
You need more men that's not going to deal with women unprotected.
Yeah.
Right?
I have no children, so I can say so too. Well, it's probably a reason why you don't have kids, Julius. And we're going to skirt around that as well.
Oh, God. Thanks for calling.
I'm on 1,000. I just got finished grocery shopping. I spent too much money. Right. My refrigerator don't look like the money I spent. So I'm mad.
Oh, my God. Thanks for calling in, She.
I'm sure you don't have any kids. Hey, Eugene.
Eugene, how's it going? But you're back.
Welcome back.
Hey,
Welcome back.
Hey, I'm doing fine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. One thing I want to say is, I remember back in my days, when parents or families would talk to their children about the birds and the bees and all those things. They used to teach you, either abstinence or, or if you do it, put that condom on. And I can also remember almost all the ladies I came in contact with, they emphasize, put that condom. I can remember one woman who I met said, make sure you bring your condom. Women back in those days, they were advocating for us, making sure we put that condom on. And also, I can remember back when I was a teenager, I've seen, girls, who were pregnant at my age. And it made me want to, sort of get away from that, during my teenage years. And, when I got older, I was 25 at my first time, but I was still wearing a condom because I've always believed that, I did not want to be a father. And again, women, back in those days, they used to tell men, make sure you bring a condom. But now, today, it's like, what's happened to these women now? Because they don't seem to advocate for that anymore.
It's sad because I feel like not to cut you off, Eugene, sorry.
Go ahead, Mariah.
Over the past maybe 10 years, probably all across social media, it's just been this obsession with like raw or nah, raw sex, raw. Like if you're not having raw sex, then you might as well not. Like they just making all these types of jokes. Don't nobody want to have condom sex. It smell like tires, room smelling like tires, like just all this stuff. So it's putting into people's minds like, oh, we don't need to wear condoms. Like even if you're not thinking about having a baby, diseases are still real. Like I don't know, it seemed like people think condoms are not cool anymore. So that's where a lot of the tide has changed, I guess. Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
And I think what it is too is, condoms were really like strap it up, TLC, wearing condoms on their eyes and stuff. It wasn't necessarily to prevent pregnancies. It was because the AIDS epidemic was so huge. And when people, was talking about wear a condom, it's because people were scared of AIDS. That fear ain't in people no more. Mm-hmm. But it was never to prevent pregnancies, which I thought was interesting now that I'm thinking about it. It was it was the AIDS epidemic where it was wear your condom. People ain't worried about AIDS or STDs no more like they used to be. Mm-mm. And I guess because people are living with it now. Or
right, more medication.
It's more medication, so people ain't scared of it no more. They need to be.
Right.
I used to work in the pharmacy. Those pills was expensive, so people need to be. But I don't think it was. So now that people don't have, or people living with AIDS don't have that stigma as they used to back in the day. So now it's like, well, ain't nobody talking about it. It's not in the news anymore. You don't hear anybody dying from it anymore. So Lauren, that shame that people used to have about it, also I think did with the condom use. But it was never wear a condom to prevent pregnancies. It was like, you don't want an STD.
Right. And I also remember when Salt and Pepper were around, right? I mean, they were the most, feminine female rappers I've seen. They used their femininity to educate us about sex. They even advocated for condom use.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. What was now? Don't get me to rapping.
Right. Eugene, I'm gonna let you like have your final word. I'm gonna bring up somebody else. We got a few people. This is a popular topic. So anything else you want to add?
No, nothing else. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
It's good to see you, Eugene.
Drive safely.
All right.
He's so sweet.
I love Eugene.
I love him.
He's awesome.
All right, Gaston's World.
Oh, Cass is sharp today.
He's back. He's back.
Hey,
handsome.
with the suit and
How
tie.
y'all doing? Good.
Good.
Hey,
Good afternoon. Mariah, it's my first time seeing you. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm
I was in the
well.
chat yesterday. I remember you from
Oh,
yesterday.
I remember. That was an interesting conversation, to say the least.
Yeah.
But Lauren, glad to see you back in these YouTube streets.
Just back on YouTube.
Right.
Back
And
live.
Courtney, we got to get together, Courtney. We got to figure some stuff out.
Yes, Gaston.
I absolutely wonder. This is my caveat to the conversation. 'Cause I know you got people waiting in the back. If all the guarantees that came with having a child for women weren't available, single women, women who have children out of wedlock, if all the guarantees of support from the government and or the ability to put a man on child support, if those guarantees weren't available, I wonder if it would be such a commonplace thing. What do you
What
ladies think?
guarantees?
So you're saying that, so let me just make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You're saying that you feel that the food stamps and all of the government assistance is a benefit, like that is a selling point to women wanting to be single mothers?
Well, it's certainly not a deterrent, right?
I think a certain
That's
type
the question.
of woman. I don't know.
In his ass.
There's levels. There's levels. So I don't think I'm around the type or have exposure to the type of women who are like, oh yeah, let me have a baby so I can get some food stamps. Because I remember a time when I had to use government assistance, and it is not that easy. Like, they are not handing out all type of stuff. It's not easy to get help. So that if women are signing up for that, they must be doing really bad.
Right.
I don't.
Okay. Well, I know something
Not that
about
it's not easy to get, and I just want to answer to Mariah. I'm sorry, Courtney. Not that it's easy to get, but it is guaranteed.
Right? It's not
guaranteed. More guaranteed than if you have a man helping you.
It's more guaranteed if you're a single woman with no children or no husband. Like, you could.
We talking about before the fact, like
right. So if you're a single woman with no children and no husband, and then you have a child, then you'd be guaranteed some benefits.
Well, no, okay. So here's the thing, from a woman that was on it as well too. Okay. It's not a guarantee. You got to be broken dusty to get on it. So I couldn't have a regular job and get on it because it's paychecks that you have to get on. So if you're talking about WIC and food stamps, anybody can get it. But as far as having a women and child, if you're a single parent, it's WIC. I was getting maybe $150 a month in WIC when I had to get on it for two. That ain't nothing. That's $150. So do you think I purposely would say, you know what, if it doesn't work out, fine, I'm gonna get on this government assistance where I'm gonna get government funded food because I couldn't pick and choose what I wanted to get. I had to get store-bought brands, and it was only certain stuff.
It's not just
$150 a month.
It's not just food stamps, Courtney.
Okay. So you talking about Section 8 with the years and years of waiting list?
Okay, it's the neighborhood, and Section 8 is not just for single parents. You can get on Section 8. It depends on how much you're making. So it's not for single parents.
Right. And so what's been commonplace is that women are having children out of wedlock at a younger age as well. So what the whole point I'm making is a woman who's 18 years old, her parents may have said, hey, you need to go to college, you need to get yourself together. And she finds that college isn't that easy for her. Maybe she's not having the best time there. So, she's seeing one of her friends who she may be going to school with or maybe went to high school with who, is living on Section 8, has food stamps, going to Miami every other month, doing whatever she, living her best life, right? And she's in college struggling. And she's like, look, I'm not about to keep on struggling with these books and stuff. I'm paying $800-900 a book and I'm just over it. You know what? I think it's better for me to have a child, get myself, and I mean, quite frankly, it's almost, like I say this all the time, pathological, right? Because it's not normal. It's not normal for somebody to just in their mind rationalize having a child and then, moving into a space where it's like, okay, I'm a single mother now, but I got this. I can do this. I can, do this by myself. I don't need no man. Still, it's like you made that child with a man, but you'd rather not deal with that.
So I hear your point, but the point that I'm going to make is that there is no, for me, the people, the women I'm around, and just women that by association are not saying I want to have a baby because of WIC, Section 8, child support, because women aren't getting the child support.
Not a woman in life has ever said I would forego college and a degree to get on Section 8 and public assistance.
I know.
Oh man,
where are these women at?
There's not a woman in this world that says I don't want to have a degree. I want to have a child. Mess up my body.
Maybe this just in the great state of Alabama, but
that comes down to a lack of education.
I went to Alabama A&M University. I had friends that went to Alabama State that I went to high school with. I had friends that went to UAB. And this isn't an uncommon thing. I know that you ladies are,
it's uncommon.
A cream of the crop, right? So this isn't something that you see.
It's uncommon. I want you.
That's the first real thing that you said today. Cream of the crop.
Right.
If it's common, Gas, I want you to show me the data. I want you to do a poll on your page. Do what you got to do. I want to see. I guarantee you, there's not going to be women out here that will say, I chose to have a baby so I can get child support, WIC, section housing. There's no way.
I can't present women with benefits good enough to make them admit such a thing.
You can't, because it's not true.
Because you would be bribing them to
the government might, but I wouldn't.
Nobody's doing that.
The government can present some pretty great benefits, but I can't. Unfortunately, I'm just Gaston's world. So, I don't mean that. Don't.
All right. Well, I'm gonna bring up someone else, Gaston.
But no, it was a great talk. It's a great topic. I'm glad you all are having this conversation. Hit the like button, y'all, if y'all haven't already.
Thank you.
And make sure you subscribe to my girl Lauren.
Thank you.
See y'all.
I'll talk to you guys.
All right. Ciao. All right. What the hell? Right. Corey, you're next. Corey, you're next. Sir Hale, how are you?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Hey, Lauren. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Courtney, Michelle. Hey, Mariah. Hello. What's up with you? Yeah, so I just want to come here and add some perspective really quickly. Women, Gaston wasn't totally wrong. Now, listen before y'all respond. It's three of y'all, one of me. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. So he's not totally wrong, but that's a small percentage of, at least in my experience, a very small percentage of people, right? But I do want to say this. One of the things we don't do is we don't prepare for children. We just have them, right? And I think it's so important that if you out here doing because somebody made that comment about the rubber smelling like tires. Let's just be honest, it's true. But if you're going to be out here like this, I would rather you deal with that smell than to deal with 18 years of something that could affect your life. And then the other part to that is, if we're going to have children, we can't just have them and hope that the person we're having them with turns out to want to be a good parent. We got to stop that. Like, this is both for men and women. If you're with somebody and they say, I don't want children, then if your goal is to have kids, then you need to break that relationship off with, because you can't force anybody to parent. I don't care. You can use the ethical argument, the moral argument. You can try to, get them with child support. It doesn't matter. You can't force somebody to be a parent if they don't want to be one. So I think we got to be a little bit more intentional with that. Intentional with who we have children with. And then really listen to people, listen to how they think about children, and understand that having a kid is not like having a pet. You just don't get one, right? You don't get one and then just make do with it. And then, you're going to buy it shoes and buy it clothes. And when you get tired of it, right? No, this is a lifelong thing. And so we got to prepare for more of that. So I wanted to come on here and I wanted to say that y'all wrap it up if you won't plan on having children. I don't want to hear men blaming the women, and I don't want women blaming the men. That's got to be a conversation. If y'all doing the raw dog, then y'all got to understand that this may be a possibility, and there are just no excuses for that. If you got kids, take care of your kids. I don't care what's going on. Take care of your kids. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sir Hale. He always spilling knowledge, because I was about to go at you, Sir Hale.
See, I know what I had to say is just one of me, y'all. So I'm about.
No, you're right. We ain't got to.
Bye. All right.
And he has an awesome page, just FYI.
Yes.
Sir Hale is great.
Corey. Hi, Corey Black.
Hey, ladies, how you guys doing?
Okay, with the
Hello.
boys.
Um, I'm
I
sorry.
hear
Today,
you.
today, today is it's haircut day, so I have the hoodie on. But I did want to give a shout out to Sir Hill and also Gaston. I'm also from Alabama, so I get what he's saying in a sense, but also agree with what Sir Hill was saying. The demographic for that is really small for those type of women. But I did want to reach back and talk to you guys about something that the other gentleman said um, about saying he didn't want to have kids, and then the lady decides to have kids, and then he's quote unquote stuck with a kid. So I think there is a responsibility on both parts, not just a man when it comes to that. I think if a man tells you who he is, you have to believe him. If he says he doesn't want a kid, he's not going to magically want one as soon as you have a baby. So that's a decision that you do have to make yourself, but you can't be surprised by anything, by his reaction to that. I have a small story to tell. I actually have a good college friend that came to me with a situation that was crazy. So he was dating, he was sleeping with his girl, and he was protected, but she was also having sex with another man while they were having sex. But that sex was unprotected. He told her up front he didn't want to have any kids. She said, "Okay, I don't want any kids either." So he did his part with being protected. So when she ended up being pregnant, she came and told him that that she's pregnant by another guy. And she confessed up and said that she was having sex with two men at one time, one unprotected, one protected. Yeah, I know, right? So she told him, he was like, wow, he couldn't believe it. He said, okay, I wish you guys well. The test results came back, and he was actually the father. The guy who was protected was the father. So she had the baby because remember, at first she said she didn't want to have the baby either, right? So she ended up having a baby for the guy who wasn't protected because he didn't have any kids, and he begged her to have the baby. So now that the test results are back in, now found out he's not the father. So now he's gone after begging her to have his baby, and now she's coming back to him, asking him, hey, I got a baby now. What's up with child support? So to me, I think the question that this guy had for me was, okay, Corey, am I deadbeat dad because I told her I didn't want to have a baby, but I'm taking care of the baby. I'm giving child support. I'm supporting the baby financially, but I told her I didn't want to be there. And I say that to say that it boils back to what I just said. If a man tells you who he is and what he's about, you have to believe him, and you can't think he's going to change his mind because the situation took place. Now, a man saying that, this is the last point, I'm gonna land this plane. The last point I want to make is that the man did tell her that he didn't want to have a baby, and she was on that same page as I don't want to have a baby. The recreational part, the sex part, yeah, people do that. We all do that. The joy of having sex can be a great thing, and sometimes we block those things out. But the fact that she said she didn't, and she did it for somebody else, I think that's the part that's kind of messed up. You know what I mean? So what you guys think about that?
That's wild.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, which is not typical.
It's not.
Right. And we all know that condoms aren't 100%.
True.
So
Neither is birth control for women. Yeah.
Right. So that's why it's not typical, because it's a very small percentage. So that small percentage, if you just happen to have a baby, again, it's sex. So would you be a deadbeat if you told a woman that you didn't want to have a child, and you end up, even though you protected yourself, knowing condoms aren't 100%?
Well, I mean, the same thing go both ways when it comes to that, though. I mean, I see your point, but say, for instance, if a man says he wants a child and a woman says she doesn't want a child, and then you guys still engage in that same sex, and then that woman decides to keep the child even though she said she didn't want it, so he said he wanted it. So is that fair? Is that fair the other way around too?
For me, just because a person says, I don't want to have kids, and they're still engaging in the act to then potentially have kids, whether it's protected or not, it does not absolve you from having to mature up or to come to the responsibility that if it happens, a change is going to have to come over me. I know what I said, but here's what I did, and this is the result, right? So sure, people can be like, I don't want to have kids, continue to have sex, even if it's protected. There's still a chance that you can get pregnant. That's not a secret. So I get it. It was a jacked up situation. Should he feel bad about being a deadbeat dad? Probably, absolutely. Because it's not like it would be a completely different story if she was pregnant and her and a dude never engaged in sex. They were waiting, and she still wanted to be with him and begged him to be a father to the child. Then that's different. Then he has a choice in the matter. But just because you say, I don't want to be a dad, or I don't want to be in a relationship, or I don't want to be a parent, it doesn't absolve you from the responsibility when it actually happens.
Yeah.
That goes back to being, sorry.
Go ahead,
more
Mariah.
intentional, like being more intentional. So, okay, you want to have sex, you have to realize, like, don't think that condom is going to protect you. It's not 100%. It's like, we all know that. Maybe he needs to be the type of person that's not only wearing a condom, but pulling out still too. He obviously has super swimmers.
But again, we're bringing
but
it seems like we're bringing it back to just being about him. Now, if he tells a woman that, she should say no too. She should stop him from that action to happen too. So responsibility is on both parts. That's what I'm saying.
That's what we said. We're both accountable.
Being intentional about the type of people that you're engaging in that with. Not only was she having sex with someone else, but I don't know. Like, it's hard. It's hard because people, I don't know what his intentions were with dating her and having sex with her. Like, did he see a serious type of thing from her, or was it just for fun?
It was just fun. He already told me it's just for fun.
And so
yeah,
that's you run the risk.
But see, that's running the risk too. But what I'm saying though is that it is on both parts, because when you have that conversation with a young lady or a young man and they're saying that they don't want to have a child, both you guys are agreeing on something here, then it's kind of messed up when it actually happens. One person ends up changing their mind. And I don't. But the thing about it, I think the expectation that person's going to change is wrong. I think you have to hear them first when they say they don't want to have a child, and don't put yourself in a situation as a woman to sleep with that man when he's already told you what his plan is and still not have a child.
It's hard with the situation you're talking about though, because I feel like if she didn't think it was the other man's baby, then they both still would have been on agreement of, I don't want a kid. So they would have took care of that. Your friend, the protector. But that wasn't that puts a whole different dynamic into it. She probably shouldn't have even got a test, and her and the other guy could have just raised the child happily ever after. But
there's a comment in there, people, Lord. Freeman's Journal, and I rock with Freeman's Journal. I see you everywhere. He says, Black women wear a condom. Black men wears condom. Black women, condoms aren't 100%. Accountability equal. Who's saying that? What accountability? It's a fact, sir. What is it?
They not.
Why are we having these elementary conversations? They are not. When you engage in sex,
it says it on the box.
Might occur.
But
it says it on the box.
But the same thing.
Who's absolving accountability when it's a fact? When you have sex, you might get pregnant. Whether I want a baby, whether you want a baby, and we might have a baby, because you know how you have sex. That's how you get a baby. Condoms,
I have a live on abstaining.
We got, because I don't know how babies are born.
But
how you get pregnant.
It's two different sides. Without a condom, if you don't wear a condom, you have a 100% chance that you probably will get pregnant. If you wear a condom, maybe the chance drops down to 2%. There's a 2% chance that you can get pregnant. Maybe he needs to go play the lottery. Play the lottery. You're very lucky.
I think it boils down to minimizing the chances from a guy's perspective. So if you're on birth control and that man has a condom on, at that point, to me, it's meant to be, because you got two force fields stopping you from having a baby, and it still ends up happening. So,
come on, baby. I see you, baby.
Go ahead, brother. I'm gonna let you get it. Go ahead.
Accountability.
We have to have an honest conversation. Well, even if you want to have an honest conversation, I hear all this about men, this and that. I haven't been with a Black woman that didn't like it raw and didn't try to get it raw.
Okay, right. But who's
but I didn't hear that. But I didn't hear that 10 minutes ago. What I heard was
we don't sleep with Black women.
That. I heard about coming here and coming there, but I didn't hear nothing about Black women saying, well, we do like it raw. We do.
That's not a fact. And we don't sleep with black women. So how do we know what black women are saying?
At the beginning of the conversation, we definitely said whoever is going to be the more mature and responsible person is not on the man or the woman. Whoever is going to be that person to say, let's use a condom, it could be the man or the woman. We're not putting it all on the man.
Right. And I want to make it clear, when I first started this live, I said, this is not a man versus women. This is just about, like, if you have moral value, and I even said it, we're weak as humans. There's going to be, out of two people, one of them are not going to make the right decision, the best decision all the time. Thus, the stronger person, if a woman is like, I don't want a condom, but the man knows that the condom is the only way to prevent what both parties want, just speak up and be like, no, we're using, like, somebody's going to have to be the moral compass in the situation. And I'm not saying that he's wrong, she's wrong, but I'm saying is, like, in addition to controlling our hormones, acting responsibly, we also have to be mature in that if we're going to engage in the act, we're not going to make the best decisions all the time. So whoever the stronger person is should make the right decisions for the other person. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I started off saying it takes two. I literally, my first word, look, it takes two. I can't have a baby by myself. You can't have a baby by yourself. I don't sleep with black women, so I don't know if they talking about put it in raw. What I do know is that you should know as an adult.
We can't even. Oh my God!
If you're putting it in raw, what might happen?
I must live in this alternate reality. I absolutely must.
I do.
You're right.
Dudes in the chat. Right, dudes in the chat. Am I speaking facts or not?
Okay, listen. You come on. Yes, there are women that like it raw. There's men that like it raw. Your child might want ice cream for breakfast. Are you gonna let them have it?
No, but let me tell you this: you're not coming across that way. So because it takes two people to have sex. It only takes one person to have a kid. So and only takes one person to pay. So if men have no reproductive rights. None.
So then why wouldn't they protect?
But we have all the responsibility.
Sir,
and if y'all feel that way, then it should. Okay, go ahead.
That's not true. You can't say men don't have reproductive rights. However,
name one right. Name one right we have. Name one right men have. Just one.
The people that are making the bills for reproduction right for the heartbeat bill that's in Texas. These bills are made by who? Men.
The heartbeat bill.
Yeah. Do you know what that is? That you can't have you can't terminate.
No. I need you to explain how that is for men. Just explain how it's for men.
Okay. What I'm saying, let's go back. Okay. You said men have no say so. What I'm saying is that there are bills intact as far as terminating pregnancies when you can, if you can. Who are making the bills? Men.
What does that have to do with?
Because there is a say so on that end, sir. That's why. Because there is a say so.
Straight cap. The government.
Let Mariah go.
Are you kidding me?
Let Mariah go.
Ask the question. Back to what you were saying, sir. Okay,
I said a right. You saying I said they don't have rights.
Friedman, let Mariah go. Please let Mariah speak.
First, you're saying you have not met a woman that does not like raw sex. Okay, so you have that on the one side. Then on the other side, you're saying men are at a disadvantage. They have no rights. It's all on the woman. Why are you giving her power on both sides of the situation? If that's truly the case, if if she gets pregnant, you're not going to have any say so. Why would you give her raw sex where she could potentially get pregnant?
Because I choose well. That's why.
Then what you complaining about?
I mean, I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to bring it.
How to choose better.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing: in the aggregate, the numbers, black men aren't having all these kids. Black men aren't. There are more black women having multiple kids by multiple dudes. This aren't black men out here. Ain't like 80% of black men have
kids.
Who
they getting pregnant? Who they getting pregnant by?
Okay, before we start spitting out facts, maybe you should bring those facts too. You just saying stuff right now, which doesn't mean anything. So if that's a fact, just bring up the stats.
Do we have to go to black demographics? I mean, we can.
Go ahead. I'm very familiar with Black demographics. Go ahead and pull it
hold
up.
on.
Are you saying they're getting pregnant by all different men that are not Black? Or are you saying that those
Okay.
men are running to different women having children? I'm confused.
Either way, the responsibility.
They are having multiple children by moment.
Which men though?
Well, just pull it up.
But even if that's the case, though,
Share the story.
even if that's the case, as a man, I want to have control over the things that I want to have control over. If I don't want to have any kids, no matter what that woman says to me about, no, I want it raw. If I don't want the possibility of having kids, I'm still going to strap it up. I'm still going to stop in that moment.
Yeah.
If we're in that moment, and I understand things get heated, things get passionate, but wait a minute. Let me get this wallet out. Let me put this thing on before we get down. And I know it's still a possibility of that, but that's another thing. We got to stop having sex with people just because they look good, just because they have a nice body. Understand who that person is first. You know, understand the character of that person. If something were to happen, will this woman be a good mother to a child of mine? Will this man be a good father to a child of hers? So you have to ask yourself these type of questions. I think along the way we get lost in the looks, in the roses and the candlelight and the passion behind it. Okay, like you guys were saying earlier, 18 years, it's really more than that. That's the rest of your life. Kids don't stop growing at 18 years. So it's the rest of your life. So whether it's one man or multiple men, all those men have the right to say, no, let me put on a condom. So I'm saying as a man, we're responsible for the outcome of sex as far as when it comes to pregnancy or not. We can do the most that we can to prevent it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
TJ up.
And the thing is, you know, Freeman's Journal is saying, you know, you're not accountability and kryptonite. I mean, it's in same talking points. We get it.
Hey,
Where are you going to be accountable?
Yeah.
What are you accountable for in making the decision to have children? Do you hold any accountability? And if so, what is it?
I made mine in a marriage, so I had ultimate accountability.
Okay.
But
so
we talking about the people that
you
you're speaking for. We talking about
right.
the people
Since you're speaking for men, what do men have to be accountable for?
Men, look, who are you choosing? That would be my question, is because there are plenty of brothers out there that aren't getting chosen. And there are a lot of women who are choosing poor men and then extrapolating that to the rest of us. So responsibility it's already there. It is the pocketbook. Black men can't get away with just fathering kids and not supporting them. And the guys that are doing that aren't intent on doing that. They're not going to have a dude that has 3 or 4 kids and then he gets 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, and that's just unbeknownst to everyone.
So again, what?
Back to the question.
I don't know if that answers the question. What accountability do men have in bringing children in the world with unwed mothers and fathers? All you said was, who are you having sex with? Be responsible with who you had sex with?
Yes.
That's the only accountability that men have.
Yeah, pretty much.
That doesn't make sense.
You're
still impregnating women that's not married.
Men have no control over procreation.
Yes, you do. I can't have a baby without your
Y'all are
semen.
the life force of procreation.
What in the world
life
are
force
we talking
of procreation depends on y'all swimmers.
My Jesus, Lord,
I can't agree with that.
The man meets
they
his
out here.
parents.
Hey, they're out here acting like you know, there's what responsibility do they have to the child? To the child to take care of them after they make them, and the courts see to that.
So Freeman, let me can I ask you a question? I like to ask a question. So Freeman, so if you're with a young lady and you guys decide to get into a sexual situation, and she tells you she wants it raw, what are you going to do at that point? Do you oblige or do you put a condom on?
Well, I'm married, and so I use condoms before I got married.
What would you advise someone?
What would you advise someone then?
Yeah.
Oh, I tell them to use a condom.
Okay.
And if they don't
I mean,
decide
I
to,
would
they
tell
say
them.
no.
I would tell them to. And if they don't, they're responsible.
So
What
that's
else
the
you want?
accountability part.
So then why you trying to say
Yeah,
women
that's
are
and
responsible?
they are accountable with their income. That's if they even plan on taking care of the kid, because a lot of dudes don't. Right? And they are the dudes that go out and have multiple kids. There are
Well, you
guys
know,
out there future, they are shooting up the club up all over the place and aren't paying for anything, and they don't intend to.
well,
But
let's
somehow they
shoot.
can still keep having kids.
Well, let's shoot that down the drain, okay? Because the CDC made it where has specifically said that the black men is the most parent as far as with white, Spanish, Asian that's most involved in their children's life. It's black men. So black men are
That's
taking care of
too
their
that
children.
that's that you should pull that up. That's two different things. That doesn't speak
No,
to
it's
the
not, sir.
aggregate.
I'll pull it up
It
right
does.
now. Like
So
you can't.
It,
I'll
it
read it
says
to
of
you.
fathers. Yeah, it's like of
In
fathers who are in the
America,
home.
here, black men take care of their children. My brother has full custody of his two boys, have been raising them since they got a divorce when they were 2. Black men take care of their kids. Black men are not just having kids out willy-nilly. It might be out of they might not be married, but these black, so it's not the Pookie and Ray Rays and we have it. Black men are taking care of their children.
You have a small percentage of men that you're extrapolating onto the whole, right?
No,
That are the Pookie and Ray Rays that are doing that.
it's not
When
it's
you
not the
when you
Pookie
have
and Ray
when you
Rays.
Are you
Yeah.
saying the
Okay.
small percentage are those that are not taking care, or the small percentage are those
correct
that are
the
taking care?
small percentage are those who aren't, right? And that's
Okay,
getting
why are we
extrapolated on the
focusing on
whole.
the small percentage?
Like you're saying,
I'm gonna let you make your final point, Freeman, so we
Yeah.
can move. I gotta
And
get to a couple
Chappelle, why
people in the
she
back.
what Chappelle?
okay,
Because
go ahead. I see TJ. Go
All
ahead,
right,
TJ.
hey TJ. You're on mute.
Hello.
There you
Okay.
go. Mhm.
I'm laughing because people act as if single parenthood just started happening. People act like that the idea of we'll talk single mothers, young middle age. I mean, well, young teenage mothers is just now happening. It's been happening, years. My mom was a single teenage mom with me. People act like the idea of women who chose to have babies and be on Section 8 or get food stamps, that's a new phenomenon. That's not a new phenomenon. We had that back then too. But you also act like that there are no women that were the opposite of that. They had that too. What I find very interesting, and when people want to pull up these stats, these statistics, is to say to us that that people have been polled all over the world. No, it's a sample size. And where are they getting this sample size from? I say it once, I say it again. If nothing else, the recent political climate has shown us you can find statistics and data to support whatever you choose your point to be.
That's right.
So I find it very interesting that, all of a sudden, and I'm not saying that there are women that women are not trifling, but they've always been trifling women. Let's just keep that. Let's be clear about that. We act like there's a new phenomenon of trifling men. There's always been trifling men. Let's be clear about that. And all of them wasn't Pookies and Ray Rays.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line becomes, what does the individual woman want for herself? Somebody said that, who in their right mind would choose to get out of college to say, I think I'm going to have a baby and get on welfare? That was the most asinine thing I'd heard in a long time.
Yeah.
So I say again, the most asinine thing I've heard in a long time.
So
And I'm not downplaying it, because when I had my daughter, I was in graduate school, I was on WIC, and I had food stamps. That was the most demoralizing thing I had to do in my life. And it wasn't guaranteed.
So I want to read this real quick.
Okay.
Who's finna talk? Somebody? Okay, I don't want to cut nobody off. Okay, so CDC reports on fathers' involvement proves that Black dads are most involved in the Pew Research Center reports that the role of the American dad is changing. So life as we knew it is no more. According to the study, Black fathers, blah, 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 the greater percentage of Black fathers when compared with white and Hispanic fathers fed or ate meals with children daily, bathed, diapered, or dressed their children daily, play with their children, read to their children. The study also proved that overall American dads are more involved with childcare than in past years. So when we make this argument, what are we standing on? Is it based on what you life as you knew it prior to, you know? Just wanna.
Are you asking me?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The point that he made. I'm not you, TJ. This is just the overarching. Like I'm trying to get the point that he was, trying to make about black men.
Yeah,
that are
because
having children.
Using a small sample size is just like the small sample size of women that say, okay, I'm going to have a baby to get on welfare. Both of those represent a small population of people. So we can't use that to be our
talking point or argument.
Yeah.
It's not a representation. Because like, if we're going to sit up here and speak in general and say all men or all women or most men, most women, the word most means like a larger majority,
right?
More than few, more than a small, you know what I mean? So I just want us to like know that in the purpose of this live again is not to say Black men need to do this, Black men need to do that. No, there's responsibility on both sides, and that's what we're saying. So
if I may, because again, I to use myself as an example, I have stated, I got pregnant. I wasn't trying to get pregnant, but I wasn't trying to prevent it either. I.e., using my birth control pills wrong, doubling up, forgetting, maybe using the condom, maybe not. So there's definitely responsibility on my part, and I'm one of many women.
Mm-hmm.
But and then also when we talk about the number of single mothers, they're looking at the statistic based on what they were at the time, where they married at the time. Doesn't count the fact that they may have been together for years. It doesn't count the fact that they may be engaged. It just counts what they were at the time. What they were at the time. So I find it, but again, I find it very interesting that you can find anything you want to support your position, specifically when the goal is to make somebody else look bad. And I'm done.
All right. Anything else, Friedman? I got one more person. If you want to cam up, you got to show your face. Sorry, if you just got this, you ain't coming up. But go ahead, Friedman. I'm sorry. I think you were about to say something. Were you? Oh,
you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
No, you good.
Kids yelling. Didn't want y'all to hear that. No, no, you can go ahead.
I wasn't going to say
Thanks
anything.
for talking to us.
Here's another one. I got one more to show. Hold on. Sharing screen. It is census. Where is it at? Here we go. Okay. So here's another one. I know people were like, that one was from 2018. This is from 2019.
All the way down. And it, right. By the time men, right there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read?
By the time men were in their 40s, those disparities had narrowed. More than 83% of Hispanics were fathers, around 80% of Black and Asian men were dads, and around 3/4 of white men were fathers. So
it's interesting how they said dads, then fathers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah.
So my thing is, we're not getting married. That's the issue. And I'm on here to speak about the issues and the problems, being a single parent and the effects of it on your child. Even if financially you still are good, it's still issues. And again, I got on here agreeing with Mariah, where it's hard to hear your child hoping and praying that you want your dad and mommy together, and her being confused, calling me daddy, oh mama, because the back and forth is tough. But I will never get on now one platform to say that Black men aren't good dads. I see amazing fathers. I don't know deadbeat dads. And I would never say, hell, there's only 20% impregnate and all that. I don't see that stat. I hear it a lot, but I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I see great dads, and I see great Black men being fathers. The issue is that we just not in a home like that. And we need to be mommy and daddy in the home, period.
And our generation is doing a great job, I feel like, of kind of picking up where our parents left off. Because I know a lot of people that grew up in a single parent home. And that's what's really fueling a lot of fathers today. Like, okay, my dad wasn't around. I want to be better than my dad was to me. So now that we've kind of started correcting that issue, I feel like we can take it a step further. Like, okay, why are we even in this situation to begin with? We don't want to keep letting those coming up behind us thinking like, yeah, that's okay. It's okay to do that. Because no, it's not. But we don't realize that we are already older. Like all of us, we're over 30.
Well over 30.
But usually the kids come before that. So it's really on us to talk more openly and honestly about how we even got into this situation. Because when I got pregnant with my daughter, just like I think her name was TJ, what she said, I wasn't trying to get pregnant, but I wasn't trying to not get pregnant either. It's like something that you're not really thinking about when you're so young, unless somebody can tell you. The only type of precaution I really got was wait until you get married to lose your virginity, because God said so.
Yeah, that's the conversation for another day.
Yeah, like okay. Well, all my friends are out here doing it, so I don't know what's the,
right.
But yeah, I think we need to just talk more. That would help.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Courtney. I mean, not Courtney, Corey.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that something that will help along the way is just taking more time before you have sex. And I hear what you're saying, Mariah. You don't necessarily have to be all the way to marriage, but something that can maximize the possibility of there being a two-parent household. Because sexually, you have people that are very compatible sexually, but when it comes to agreeing on a plan or structure for a family, that's where the disagreement comes in, and that's why those two people can't live together, can't stay together. They both love the child. They love the child. That's not in question. But the fact of them being able to coincide together in that household and be able to be two great parents for that child in the household, that's where the problem is. So I think if we took a little bit more time to get to know each other on a much deeper level before engaging in sex. And I know it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard, but it's something that's necessary when you're having another baby, another human being involved. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sex is made to look very trivial in the media. Like it's not really that big of a deal. You can go around and have sex with anybody, but it kind of is a big deal because you can create a life from doing that.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we got some work to do.
Freeman, do you have any? Corey, thanks for calling in. Freeman, do you have any final words? You're on mute again. Sorry.
Like the show.
Thanks.
I like everybody getting on the panel and discussing things. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right. Well, thank you both. I got one more person to bring up.
Thank you.
Freeman, I
have
still
a great
rock
day.
with you.
All right,
I didn't mean to snap at you. I mean, I did, but it was out of love.
Just okay. One thing.
Give me a hug.
Can we at least admit that that monies available for children make single motherhood a whole lot easier?
I can agree with that.
Great. So, and then one other person made an assertion that men can get on these programs too.
I saw that.
Kids get on the programs, not the women. And who has the kids?
Right.
And who gets
usually
the kids?
The woman.
And they said, well, you can have it for families and this and that. Well, if they're families, they're going to be income limits that they won't qualify for. So the person with the kids gets the benefits. And that's all I had.
And to piggyback on your, because I agree with you on that stance. And when we talk about WIC, WIC stands for Women, Infant, Children.
AFDC,
So,
Aid for Dependent Children.
There you go. So
And
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And there are a bunch of other state
right.
programs.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your points. I'm going to bring up our last person, Corey. Thank you. Freeman, thank you. Saving the best for last, question mark? I'm not sure. JB, you got to unmute yourself.
Lord, I'm getting off the panel.
What's up? What's up, y'all? Can y'all hear me?
Hi.
Yes.
JB, I don't want another reaction where we fighting.
Hey, the brother did a good job. He did a good job, Court.
I'm gonna spam.
You don't think he did a good job?
Yeah, because he made you look good.
Go ahead, Jonathan. What you got to say?
I agree with the brothers before that there's an incentive. So there's an incentive. Like even on Kevin Samuel's show, right? Like we've had tons, like I don't want to say tons, but we've had numerous occasions where women have basically openly admitted that they're completely fine with being single mothers, right? Without marriage or anything, like actually choosing that route. And I just feel like we can't pretend like that's not an actual like conscious decision that a lot of women are making. And I think a big part of the reason why they're making it is because there are incentives. If there were no incentives, no support, you'd have to think twice about that.
But I think being okay with it and wanting it are two different things.
Facts.
No, I'm saying there's like, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, one of Kevin's like last 3 videos, there's a woman in his conversation with her who literally admits that.
But do you feel like she represents most women?
No, I don't think she represents most women. But the only
so we talking about what most.
So the only reason I won't say that, even if I felt that, is because I don't have anything to back that up, right? But I don't feel that. I don't feel that it represents most women. But there's definitely enough of them out there that just don't care. They take single motherhood very willy nilly. Like I think some women who like listening to Court or even TJ and whatnot, like you guys are looking at it from a place of somebody who went through this, and you kind of see the responsibility that comes with it. But I don't know, especially the younger generation of women, like they're very reckless. I'm telling you right now,
okay.
Like they're very reckless out here.
I have a question then. If you were to encounter that type of woman, is that the type of woman that you would have sex with?
Oh boy, I'm an incel. I don't have sex. I'm an incel.
Because that's a red flag right there.
So the answer is like, the thing is you're not gonna really know that though. Like if you're just talking about a woman I'm having sex with, in most cases you're not really getting to that point.
But you're literally proving. Wait, we're literally proving that point. Is that sex is bigger. There's more risk. I'm gonna say risk. Having a baby ain't really a risk, but like you can't take that risk, Jonathan. Of like, there's no way for you to know. Yes, it is. You just choose not to go that route, and that's all we're saying. Is that either you're going to have discipline, or you like, come on.
You taking it's easier to have sex with.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm not.
It'll happen quicker than finding out if that's the type of person you should be having sex with.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I'm not that person anyway because I'm an incel. So this is just what I'm hearing on the streets, So it's
well, you need to spread the word on the streets then to your counterparts that are having sex. Let them know.
I got y'all.
But wouldn't that be accountability?
I did want to counter at one point though, right? So I don't like the whole like I hate when people go on the stats argument. Shout out to TJ. But so I actually studied statistics, okay, and I love stats, right? And the argument that it's just sample sizes, it's an extremely poor argument. And I'm not saying it's like done intentionally, but it's an extremely poor argument, right? Because pretty much all stats are based on sample sizes. it would be very impractical for you to do any kind of statistical analysis where you survey everybody that's in that population that you're trying to understand, right? So it's very impractical. So pretty much all stats are based on sample sizes. So just saying that because they're based on sample sizes, that makes it a negative or something that you shouldn't trust is not the proper argument. Now, if you actually analyze that sample and you said, okay, this sample does not seem representative for this and that reason, that's more understandable. But that's not what I heard.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, she's back. She had to charge her phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did y'all hear me?
I heard the last part.
I heard you talking about with TJ and with the sample sizes, and she actually responded to you in there. It says that means it should be seen as inclusive and who is being sampled. So I know there's a stat that we have running around where it was a sample of 900 men. So it was like 80% of men, but it was 900 men being sampled. If we're talking about the census,
right,
which we all talk about the census, a lot of people don't take the census. A lot of the time, the census don't go in particular neighborhoods. So it's the credibility of some of the stats that we always go to. Black women this and the black man is that. Where they're getting these sample sizes from, I think that's also important to look at too.
So the thing is, if you that's the thing, Court. Like, so that's a good question. But the thing is, when people ask that question, they ask it as a way to dismiss it. I think it's a good question. And typically, when you go actually read those studies, they tell you how they came up with the sample size, right? And there's always some margin of error there, right? But the sample size is supposed to be representative enough that there's enough diversity in it that you can actually arrive at that conclusion that you're arriving at. So that's why I'm saying, like, even if it's just 900 men, that 900 men may actually be representative of the black male population in America, in terms of their, age, environment. Like, there's so many variables. But before you use that as a way to dismiss it, you should actually look at how did they come up with that sample size, which is almost always in the studies. Like, in fact, it has to be, right, for it to be peer reviewed. So that's all I'm saying is that, like, I just hate when that argument is used as a way to dismiss it. Like, if you go and look at the study and you say, okay, I don't like the way they did this, then that makes more sense.
I hear you.
I hear you, JBZ.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in. Thank you for the super chat earlier too, by the way. I really appreciate it.
I know y'all hate me, okay, but I'm a nerd.
No, JB, I don't hate you. JB,
okay.
Let me just let me make it clear, JB. You kicked me to the curb for Sherelle. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna always have love for you, JB, for real. I'm gonna need you to stop acting brand new, okay? Dang.
Those are facts, because he do be acting sedity.
This dude got a show and he went Hollywood on me, okay? He went Hollywood on my ass. I see what it's like, JB.
Listen,
yes, you did.
Lauren, don't make me put your business out on Front Street, okay? I'm trying to save you right now. I'm trying to save you.
Let's go.
Don't
getting juicy.
Make me put your business on Front Street.
Air it out, B. Air it out. It's cool. Look, they said, dang, JB, you did Lauren like that? Crazy about him.
He's petty.
Wow. All right, JB. Thanks for calling in. I said that's crazy about you.
I called you petty.
JB.
All right, y'all.
Drive safely. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you, Courtney, for camming up. Mariah.
I was powering today.
She was on fire.
I was.
Courtney has a show tonight, y'all, so you can go to her channel, check her out. Mariah, thank you for allowing me to use your status. See you, Court. Thank you for allowing me to use your status as just like a starting point for conversation.
No
I always told you that your statuses, they be preaching, and like more people need to hear it. So hopefully this isn't the last time that we can kind of like talk about a topic and bring people. Did you have fun? I hope I didn't.
Yes, it was great. I love being able to talk to people about this stuff, because when I post stuff like that, I want to have conversations. And just even yesterday, this girl, when I responded to what she said, she was like, "Oh, I won't comment on no more of your stuff." I'm like, I'm not trying to argue. I just like
we just need to talk.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I will definitely come back.
Please do. All right, y'all. If you like this video, like it. Like actively like it. Don't just tell me in the comments. Like the video, share it, and let me know if y'all want Mariah to come back. She gonna come back anyway. I don't care what y'all say, but she coming back.
Yes.
All right, Mariah. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you.
Bye. Thank you, Lucky. Thank you, Gaston. What is it? Okay, that's funny. XDMC. It's exactly what you type. That's the name of her channel. Thank you, Jasmine. Thanks, TJ, Sherelle, everybody showing love. I really appreciate. Thank you to all of the super chats. Wasn't expected. I was just planning on coming on here and having a conversation. I'm going to continue to just bring up topics that I think we should talk about. Sometimes I feel like I'll be living under a rock because these women that y'all say exist, I have not seen. My friend groups don't show some of those characteristics, so I definitely want to engage in conversation and talk about it, so that I could be more aware. Clearly, these chicks is my competition because y'all talking about them often. So I gotta know more. So anywho, thank you, Simsaya. Okay, thank you. All right. I'll talk to y'all. I'm out, guys. Bye.